Macedonia here. We are in Indonesia, Flores, just heading west from Larantuka. I caught the ferry into Larantuka from Kupang the other night. It leaves at 1 in the afternoon from Kupang, and you get in sometime between midnight and 3 a.m. Everyone said the ferry was going to get in at 3 a.m, but it didn't. It got in at midnight, which sounds like a good thing, but it's not if it's the middle of the night and you're on your own in a kind of slightly dodgy Indonesian port city. You have nowhere to go, and you know, it's not very safe to go riding around these places at night, and where the hell would I be going anyway? What's the point of riding at night? I'm here to see stuff, can't see anything at night. So, yeah, so I hooked up my spotlights again, and I was hooking them up in the dark car park at the port when the police went past, and then they turned around and came back again, and I was like, oh no, here we go. And like 4 guys with machine guns got out. I don't know if they're machine guns, they're definitely automatic rifles, eh? They're pretty full on, and they all got out. They're in this tactical gear with these, you know, massive fucking firearms, and I'm like, hello. And anyway, they were just being friendly, and they were just like, oh, you know, how are you, what can we do for you? And I was like, well, I'm good, you know, there's not really anything you can do for me. My spotlights are all fixed up and I'm fine. And they were like, oh, okay, well, that's good, can we have a selfie? And I was like, yeah, you can have a selfie. So we had selfies with the commandant, and they were very pleasant, and off they went. So then I was still like, well, what the fuck am I going to do? No idea. So I get on the bike and I start riding, and I ride through Larantuka. And Larantuka at midnight can be a little bit shifty looking, and so I just kept riding, and I'm riding along, and I'm almost out of Larantuka, and I'm sort of heading along sort of northish and towards this past this beach, and I suddenly see this fancy hotel, and it's got all these lights out the front, and parked out the front of this fancy hotel I see 4 adventure bikes, and I was like, oh wow, you know, I just had this sudden reaction. It's been a while since I last saw an adventure bike, so I just instinctively just pulled in. I was just like, oh, there's my people. So I just pulled into this car park, and I park up there, and sure enough, there's 2 650 Versus and one brand new Honda CRF 250 Rally, all very nice. And was there another one? Oh no, there was a Royal Enfield as well. So there were some pretty swish looking bikes, and Indonesian plates, and that was cool. So I parked next to them. They were all shiny and clean, and Beastie was filthy. And the security guard, when he saw me coming, he came and ushered me in and made a space for me, and you know, so I parked the bike up next to these adventure bikes, and then I'm like, oh, what the fuck do I do? Because I mean, it's midnight, and I'm looking at this hotel, and it's absolutely obvious I can't afford to stay there. I later found out it's about $50 a night, so yeah, can't afford to stay there, but apparently very nice. But you know, they have this nice car park, and there are lights in the car park, and there's 2 security guards, and they seem very friendly. And I thought, well, this is pretty much the safest spot to sit down and wait for the sun to come up that I'm going to find. So I just sort of got off the bike and loitered for a bit and pretended I was supposed to be there and hoped they wouldn't throw me out. And I'm like, well, you know, every bit's a bonus. For as long as they don't throw me out, then I get to be somewhere safe. And so it goes on like this, and then some dude who's staying at the hotel comes out, and he was just wandering around. I think he'd been in the bar having a few drinks, and he came out and started talking, and he was a nice guy too. He was an official with the immigration authority, and he said he was staying at this hotel because he had a meeting in Kupang tomorrow afternoon, but it's actually, I think he's stationed in Malmedy. But he was nice, and we chatted for a while. Yeah, no, his English was alright, and certainly much better than my Indonesian, but yeah, we had a bit of a chat, and then he's like, so what are you doing here? Are you staying here? And I was like, well, no, I'm actually just sort of hoping I can sleep in the car park, and I'm sort of hoping the security guys won't throw me out. And he was like, are you kidding? I was like, no. Anyway, he was very nice, and I assured him, he was like, I can't leave you here like that, and I'm like, yeah, you can, it's fine, I'm safe, I'm good. And so he wandered off in the end, and yeah, I just sort of lay down underneath Beastie. I kind of lay under the bike, right, because I was like, I don't want to make it too obvious that I'm actually just, you know, camping out here and having a sleep in their car park, which is obviously a bit odd and not really what the car park is for. But so I'm sitting there making this Flash Hotel's car park look super messy. So I curl up under Beastie and I put my head on my jacket and you know, I close my eyes and I'm lying there and I'm just drifting off to sleep, and I hear, and somebody comes out and says something to the security guard, and the security guard says back to him, he says, oh, Sendiri, and then he says in English, tidak ada teman-teman. She's got no friends. And the other person goes, oh, okay, and goes away again. So I don't know if it was like the manager or someone official at the hotel or something, but yeah, the security guards had obviously figured out what was going on, and they weren't going to throw me out. And yeah, so they just left me there in peace, and I actually had a really good sleep. I slept for maybe 3 hours. Yeah, probably about 3 hours, until I was woken up by the call to prayer from a mosque nearby. And so it was still an hour before dawn, but only about half an hour before first light, I think. And I got up and I asked the security guards, you know, is there a toilet? And they said, yeah, and they took me into the hotel, and I got to use the Flash guest toilet in there, and I got to wash my face, which was a wonderful thing. After being on the boat and sweating profusely all night, and all the salt on my face and just all the sweat and grime, like my skin just felt disgusting. And so I washed my hands, I got the black stuff from under my fingernail, and I washed my face, and with a couple of goes of hand soap, and it was just the best thing ever. So yeah, I said thank you to the guys and to the security guys who'd let me camp out there like the hobo I am. And yeah, and I just started riding north to see what was up the northern end of the island. And yeah, so I rode along, and eventually the sun came up, and I stopped at a little beach, watched the sun come up a bit. And I kept riding, and I got, fairly remote. Well, it's not really that far from anything, but the road became a track, and generally the roads here are very good though. There'd be a little bit of dodgy track, and then it would turn back to nice bitumen, but it was all pretty good. And I ended up out there, and I'm just riding along, and suddenly to my left the cliff drops away, and there's this amazing lake, just this little round freshwater lake nestled in the middle of the jungle. And I'm riding along, and I can see these tree houses, these two huge tree houses built into the trees on the edge of the cliff above this lake, obviously so you can look at the lake. And I thought, oh, this is cool. And then the road there started to be a lot of water across the road and things like that, and I thought, and I was feeling really hungry and a bit pale, I was like, I shouldn't really go down some really dodgy off-roading bits while I'm this hungry. So I went back to the village, and like the last village, and there's not really anything except there's a school there and a shop, and I went to the shop and I asked them if they had hot coffee, which, you know, shops don't really sell, but I thought maybe they'll make me some coffee and sell it to me. But anyway, they invited me next door to their house and made me coffee, and I sat there with the people who own the shop and their family and their grandma. Grandma was there, and the guy who owned the shop, he told me that she was 90. He's literally 90 years old, and she was in great shape. I hope I look like her when I'm 90, because she was still enjoying life. And we sat there, and all the villagers walked past on their way to do whatever they're doing and hung out, you know, sort of stopped for a chat, and it was all really cool. And then, you know, we were talking, and they said, oh, you know, you can go. One of the women said you should go and swim in the lake, and I said, oh wow, can I get down to the lake? Because when I was riding around, I couldn't see how I could get down to the lake. And they said, yeah, you can go. There's a track down to the lake. You can go and swim there and wash, and it's really nice. And I said, oh yes, that would be great, because as I mentioned, I was pretty filthy still. So I had sweet coffee with these people, which perked me up no end. And then I went out to the lake and I had a swim, and it was just glorious. And before I left, the people at the shop said, oh, you should come back for lunch. And I said, oh, okay, no worries. And they said, yeah, there's nowhere to have lunch out near the lake, so you should come back here for lunch. So I did. I came back for lunch, and they made me the most wonderful lunch. And and they didn't charge me for the coffee or the lunch or anything. They just, you know, I was obviously this stranger wandering around, and they just invited me into their home and into their family, and took really good care of me. And the lunch was so good. It was just sort of salty light omelette with a dish of sayur, just, you know, green vegetables that are being cooked up in oil as they are, and they were just, they were so fresh and salty and delicious, and all of that with rice, and it was just gorgeous. And and so I hung out with these people, and we talked for a couple of hours, which was it was really good, but it's kind of hard work, because my Indonesian is terrible. So I did a bit of Indonesian in school, and school was a long time ago. I don't know if you know how old I am, but I'm old enough to have certainly forgotten any of the Indonesian I learned at school. So it's quite a difficult process of trying to build up vocabulary again and trying to remember my words. And so we talked for hours, and, you know, it takes a lot of patience and a lot of hard work between, you know, the little bit of English that they know and the little bit of Indonesian I know to construct a conversation together. But it worked, you know, and I love how people here have the patience to sit there for 3 hours and work out a conversation like that. I don't know if Australians would have the patience to do that. And I love that these people do, and so that was really great. But by the time I got back into Larantuka in the afternoon, I was really tired. I was super tired, because obviously I hadn't really gotten that much sleep the night before. Well, I had a really good sleep on the deck of the boat, but I think that was almost catch-up sleep from my sleep debt from, you know, the previous couple of nights. So overall, I was pretty wrecked when I got back into Larantuka. And Larantuka is kind of a busy, slightly dodgy, dirty port town. And I was having trouble finding a hotel that was cheap. And the first one I went to, like I said, The first one I went to was a cheap hotel. Well, it was 15. It was 150,000 rupiah, so it's like $15. And I was like, oh, that's cheap enough. I'm really tired. And look, I'm no princess, right? If it's cheap, I'll pretty much sleep anywhere. Last night was a car park, and it was actually a really good car park. I slept very well in it. But yeah, I got into this room, I unpacked my stuff, and I went into the bathroom and I touched the bed, and the sheets were not clean. Like there was grit and dirt all over them, and I don't know when they were last washed. And the bathroom, like the tiles were all brown, and I thought, oh, that's alright, it's just old, the tiles are just stained. But then I touched the tiles and the brown came off the tiles, and I was like, oh my god, don't think I can handle this. It's so dirty. And so yeah, first time I've ever done anything like this, but I just said to the guy, look, I'm sorry, it's too dirty, I can't stay here, And he actually said to me, he's like, yeah, we know it's dirty. And I just thought to myself, well, why the fuck don't you just clean it? It's not that hard to clean. But yeah, so I was sweating buckets. It was really hot, and I was tired, and I was dehydrated by now, and I was just over it. Put everything back on my bike and went back into Larantuka, back the other way, and found another hotel. And the first one I went to was too expensive. It was like 250,000 for the cheapest room, and I said, no, I can't do that. And then I found another one nearby, and it was 100,000, and I was like, yay, thank you. And anyway, it was just a cheap hotel, and I was in this terrible headspace. Like, I was just like, I hated everything, and I walked into this room, and I was just miserable, like it was an old battered room, and I just was in a terrible state of mind. I thought to myself, this is the kind of hotel room that you sort of, you overdose in at the end of a 6-day bender. It felt very Bukowski, and I was in a terrible state of mind, and it was all noisy, and anyway, so I was just thinking everything was terrible. But actually, look, nothing was terrible. The sheets were clean, and I woke up this morning, I had a great sleep. I slept for like 11 or 12 hours with this great sleep in this bed, and the sheets were actually clean, and the mattress was actually comfortable, and I woke up this morning, I looked around, I'm like, this is not such a shitty hotel. I mean, it's a really cheap hotel, but it's not shitty. It's actually pretty good for 100,000 rupiah. And it was like I went to bed in one place and woke up in a different place, but of course it was all in my head, and that's what it's like, isn't it? And I mean, the other thing that bothered me about Larantuka was the cat calling. Actually, I think Larantuka, this is the worst cat calling I've ever experienced in my life, and that's saying something. I've been a few places, and I've been catcalled a few times, but literally, I was being catcalled about every 10 seconds. I walked out on the street looking like just wearing jeans and looking like I wasn't looking pretty, After a day like that, I'm not looking pretty. I'm not into the looking pretty stakes. I was sweaty and I was looking a bit pissed off. But yeah, just every fucking 10 seconds some man would shout at me. And it just, after a while of walking down the street, every 10 seconds some guy shouts at you, and sometimes they say really inappropriate things, sometimes they say things you can't understand which may or may not be inappropriate, and other times they just shout out, hey missus, or the one that really cracks me up is, hey mister. I have to say, they call me mister when they're sexually harassing me more than they call me missus. And it seems obvious to me that from the travelling I've done, like even through Timor-Leste and that, like lots and lots of people call me Mister. just don't actually realise that Mr. is gendered and it's the wrong gender for me. Or maybe they know it's gendered, but they don't know what the feminine version is. But yeah, the whole like screaming at me, "Hey, Mister," from passing vehicles and scooters and from their roadside stalls and walking along the street, and I just it's really bad. And you know, one of the things that pisses me off the most is that they yell at me. I hate that. It's like, well, I might be a white person, but I'm not deaf. I don't know why they have to yell at me so much. And this is an Indonesian thing. People didn't yell at me in Timor-Leste. Even in Dili, like there's a bit of sexual harassment and that. And every now and then someone will call out from a truck or something. But there's a difference kind of between calling out and really just shouting at someone. And the shouting is an Indonesian thing, and it gets me. I don't like being yelled at in the best of circumstances, like for any reason at all. I hate being shouted at, and so yeah, it kind of gets me a little bit. But you know, I won't die. It won't kill me. It's fine. I think I might have actually like forgotten to take a turn that I was meant to take. I might actually have to stop and look at my map. I've been talking all this time. Let's have a look.